G'day punters, welcome to the mailbag sale preview as well as Oakbank curls. This is non-traditional Easter long weekend preview sort of behaviour from us, but there's plenty else going on. I think you've got how many meetings in Brisbane or Queensland tomorrow?
Yeah,
Saturday?
Zero tomorrow.
Yep.
For Good Friday in here. Quick look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 racetracks hosting race meetings in Queensland on Saturday.
There's never enough, clearly. You just got to get them all out there on course.
I'm sending my apprentice to Flinton non-tab, which is about 300 kilometres west of Toowoomba. He's heading out there for me and staying the night there with a few mates, but betting the non-tabs at Flinton as well. So heaps going on.
That's amazing. All right. Well, look, we're going to start with Sale because I think out of all of the narrative joints that could be operating across the Easter long weekend, Sale has definitely taken the cake. There's $1.4 million worth of prize money. I think there's a $150,000 maiden floating around. And there's the unofficial Group 1 race that people are referring to, the Country Discovery Handicap.
And it's got a in the race title. So that adds a little bit of legitimacy.
Oh, it just means that they're just struggling, aren't they? They have seen PVL with all of his races. He's just like the Seinfeld fan going through all the episodes and going, what haven't they used? And here we go, the Country Discovery, the country music singer or something like that. I don't know. This is just...
I've got no idea what this even means.
But look, it's
where do we start?
Yeah, it's a half interesting race, isn't it? You know, 1,100 metres, $500,000. You've got quite a few horses that have been running around here and there over the previous couple of months and not necessarily doing too much. And you look at them and you go, well, are they going to end up in Queensland? But my starting point is also my finishing point in that Showmanship is the best horse here. And if the horse is vaguely fit and well enough off a 587-day break and 2 jump outs at a trial suggest it is just a great bet at 550. End of story. In the boat as favourite in this field, drawn 14 with Blake McDougall on board, just screams trouble. And even if it somehow finds the front, all it's going to do is inject more pace into the race of horses with bigger figures to come over the top. And I mean, a lot of people have made note of the fact that Showmanship's trial at Colac in 5-horse field, 2 of them have won within their first 2 starts and the other 2 ran second. So they're all come out and run reasonably well. I know it doesn't necessarily work out that way all the time, but sometimes you find these funny little trials and everything seems to win out of them. It's just clearly the best horse here.
Couple of other things that sort of piqued interest, like D Lane did go to Colac for that trial.
Mm.
You know, like anyone could have thrown a leg over it for a trial at Colac. It's a decent lead, isn't it?
Yep.
Fitness off the back of how many do we think jump out? So I know that the Victorian jump out footage is difficult.
I think at least 2 jump outs and 1 trial. Yeah. So there's been the 1 trial.
And we've had a 1,000-metre trial. So we're not going in not fit.
Yeah.
Like if this was a fitness run, you're going to this race on the other side of the peninsula for the stable. I anticipate it's launching across from Barwon Heads. This horse.
I think
there's from Flemington.
Yeah, maybe, and there's got to be big pressure on this whole setup as well. Bob Peters hasn't been winning many races in WA since he's lost the Grant and Alana Williams partnership. This horse has gone from Grant and Alana Williams to Danny O'Brien. There's big expectations on it. Recorded a monster victory at Moonee Valley there in that last start, the listed race, the whatever it was called, including a big figure going through the line. It's a very talented horse coming off a setback.
Yep.
I think they'll want to get it right first up. I think it would be a complete disaster if it fails.
And why won't it dash first up? You know, like obviously the 1,100 below its best trip is 1,400, 1,200, 1,400 its best. Or
yeah,
I still think it looks very well placed. It's got 54 kilos and gate 2 and D lane. Like it's just, I think you're right in your earlier statement that there's not a lot to talk about in this race other than this is the perfect setup.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at Lombardo, we've obviously been against Lombardo last start and the start prior. Obviously won in Adelaide, but the figures here just don't stack up against even some of the other more seasoned gallopers. It would really have to go to its absolute best, Lombardo to be figuring. And then you've got horses like the Inferno and Brooklyn Hustle, and they always need the right tempo back in the field to be figuring, and they're horses you might save on once in a while if the track's playing favourably. But I'm looking at this and just not even factoring them in for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, what would you say, like group race, like third, fourth, fifth place getters sort of thing. Out of the rest of them, they're pretty even, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, showmanship looks like the one that back to what he was, he can win this and go on to something else. Maybe, I don't know, do they travel horses to South Australia and Queensland?
I think they probably would if I don't think they'd have too much of an issue with it if the right race is there. Look, the other horse at a bigger price that I'll have a smaller bet on is Bless Her. It just seems to map really well. Gate 5, Jamie Carr on board. Didn't really get momentum at the right time behind Esther LaRocca at the Valley. Has won at the track twice before, track and trip as well. You're getting 20s or so to have something smaller on. It's just trimmed up actually since then. It's now into 16, but still, if I'm launching showmanship, I'm happy to save on a horse that's unbeaten the track. So anyway, that's why I'm looking at it.
No arguments here.
All right. Anything take your eye at sale other than the Country Discovery race?
Oh, look, only one other thing took my eye, and this is not form related because I haven't done the race, but racing on Good Friday and race 5, number 7, Water into Wine. Seems a topical tip, maybe. Maybe take the Quinella with Ancient Egypt.
I like it.
I'm not sure why we portray Jesus as a white man. Anyway, let's not digress too far.
I was going to say there's so many ways we can get ourselves into trouble there. But speaking of magical places,
trouble.
Yeah, speaking of trouble, let's have a look at Oakbank, shall we? All right, which race
Why not?
took your eye?
Well, a couple of races at Oakbank, in fact. Now, just waiting for my dynamic odds to catch up to me. I'm that excited about going to Oakbank. I think as we're seeing, the sacred holy days become less and less relevant in modern society. Here's another that some are screaming sacrilege. We have Oakbank on and we don't have any hurdle races to focus on.
Is this still considered the Oakbank Carnival? Is that what happens, or is that on Monday? Are they running any hurdle races, or is that just been binned?
I think there's some boisterous hurdle enthusiasts that saying that this is no longer what it was because there's no horses to jump over sticks, and logs and fences. Okay, so welcome to the future. We're at Oakbank on Easter without hurdles. Good luck to the club anyway. Bold break of tradition, and I hope they go as well. That's a bit of bullshit narrative. I don't really care. I just want to bet, Peter. And we're going to bet in race 7, I think. The Onkaparinga Cup. Time honoured. Now, for those that aren't familiar with Oakbank, it's a unique race course that some horses sort of can't handle the slippery slope downhill run coming into the corner and then sort of flying down. We've sort of priced this race individually, and I think we've come up with the same horse as the market has too. Race 7 at number 3, San Blas. I probably forgot to include a important point here, but we'll get to it. Northern Territory Derby winner. There's a little bit of form that sort of comes through that, and it did race well during that time. And those sort of 3-year-old races, and they have produced a few winners, like Ocean 13, I think was one. I think was that, Casino 17,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. The other gambling reference.
Casino 17. He sort of actually ended up now at Cody Morgan's and ran well in a $50,000 to the winner race or something at Muswellbrook. Pretty strong racing there, like in those areas of, where all the studs are around New South Wales. It's pretty strong racing. So that's all good. It's a lot stronger than Adelaide anyway, put it that way. And then it's it's obviously worked up this preparation and a winner at the Parks track, I think, when it was on speed and ran good tempo and was still able to finish off strongly. Gate 3, Campbell Royal Willers on again. It goes around this time with 56 kilos. It carried 60 last time. It just looks like an easy bet to have. Highest rating horse in the race that races on speed, that drops in weight, that's like ran good closing sections. It went faster than benchmark to the 600 when leading and was still breaking, class benchmark by 1.5 lengths for its last furlong. Not a horse that I'm prepared to risk and happy to be on.
Yeah, you look at it and you'd have to think that the horse is seriously regressing off its last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts. It would have to regress significantly to not be somewhere near the finish. And look, probably the if there is a reason why that would happen, it's the tempo. The last 5 starts, the race, very fast, very fast, very fast, very fast, and fast. So as long as Campbell Rewiller is setting some sort of genuine tempo or part of an strong on-speed brigade, you'd have to think the horse is very, very difficult to beat.
There is one other horse that has drawn outside it and did lead and run third last start, was Lord Boozeron.
Yeah.
It led, didn't go as quick for benchmark, and didn't sort of finish off as strong. Like it'll have to recapture some really old form. Just can't see a peak in it or a spike in it.
No.
Anyway, I think it can be on speed and that's okay. It would have to take on Sam Blass to get across it, and which should ensure that they do go along a little bit. Which either way you look at it, Sam Blass is drawn inside it and gets first option to run along, doesn't it? So
yeah.
No, I don't think it's any great spoil, but I've got it shorter than market. But I just think it looks the winner to me.
Yeah, I do too. It just depends on what your flavours are.
If it gets beat, Pistol.
What have you got?
I'm not making any bold statements in this race.
Okay. It is Oakbank after all.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up live streaming Oakbank on Monday as a result of.
And
Sandblast losing.
that Toowoomba live stream was actually costly because I just pickled bet the meeting and I think I've backed 3 or 4 winners. Like if I was actually betting properly and cared about the meeting, I could have won more than $180. So we won 2 cartons of beer and a pack of Bench and Hedges Smooth. One of the guys that was watching sort of suggested.
Oh, something for your time anyway. There's another feature race there, at Oakbank, race 8, the Adelaide Hills Railway listed race.
Time on it too.
Yeah.
Like every listed race. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to refer to some punting form data here. Some interesting data here. Historical run style with the rail true, and particularly looking at this profitability and winning strike rates on horses back and wide, which is this here, seem to be historically the place to be in run.
So what does that suggest to you? Does that suggest momentum more than anything? As you said, it's a little bit tricky to handle some of those runs, so you need to be making your run at the right time, and probably the easiest way to keep momentum is if you're drawn wide.
Rightly or wrongly, completely ignored this information for the 2150 metre race. It's just different tempo set up, it doesn't really, what would the data know? 2150. Looking at race 8, which is 1100 metre race, looking at looking at the data that sort of supports, well, where do I want to be and run here? Do I, I need to be wide and full momentum than like hard fence and having to sort of stop and steer the horse around that corner so I don't run off the track, as opposed to something that's wide and like a velodrome sort of,
Yep.
swooping off the bend. That being said, it'd be interesting to see which jockeys that are at the meeting, Pistol, that have ridden it.
Yes.
This tricky track.
Yes.
See who has some good stats. Campbell Rawiller, 1 win from 2. Oh, look at him. The biggest shins in racing. Baran Vorster, 38% winning strike rate from 26. Not sure. Can you see that data there?
Yeah, I can. I mean, it stands out to me is Baron Vorster and Kayla Crowther, which is disappointing because I wanted to side with Jake Toe Rope. Sorry, Jake.
Toe rope.
I'm Toe Rope.
The K is pronounced P.
Jake Lead Rope. I'm just basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
He doesn't. Yeah. What's his pot? Okay. Not great.
Okay, so the point is, though, we were looking at 2 horses here, I think, in the Adelaide Hills Railway, time-honoured, and
We were indeed.
you were favouring more towards the bigger shins. I'm taking it.
Yeah, Rock the Ring was a horse that I thought could have knocked off Lombardo last start. Didn't quite get to the spot in run where I thought he would. Unfortunately, ignore those prices because we're not running with them. Now, so there's a little bit of speed inside him. And then I think that this is pretty close, this sort of gap where if he begins well enough, he can be sort of right there or just tucking behind a tempo here, Baran. So the 2 horses that we're sort of interested in were these 2.
Yeah.
But we thought more suitable to that sort of track pattern off the data of, back and wide somewhere, potentially back and wide with cover.
Keep your momentum.
Getting momentum. I thought Rock the Ring sort of, coming through that Lombardo race was okay. As I said, had to sit outside it and boxed on okay, but you sort of found all banter through some strong Victorian races.
Yeah. It's basically been its figures have been good all prep so far. It started off with a really nice win there on the park circuit, good figure. Then went to Flemington. It was hard against the the far side fence, so the inside fence of the track there down the straight. Was only beaten 0.7 of a length behind Malkovich, Brooklyn Hustle, Express Pass, sort of Mercy, and that's turned out to be a good form race. Then went back to the parks with Campbell Rawiller on board and basically recorded a very similar figure to what it did first up. So that 1,000 metre figures that it's recording are all good. The 1,100 doesn't really look like too much of an issue, although it's untested, so to speak. It's mostly exposed over the 1,000 metres. But again, just with that gate, I'm happy enough to suggest that it will be able to just slot in. They won't necessarily ride its ears off to get to the lead. So,
well, you'd hope not too, because if you have a look at its barriers that it's drawn in its last handful of starts, 3, 2, 3, 4, it has drawn where it can use its speed to hold itself in a lovely spot or lead, for that matter, in lower grade when it led it on resumption. So it doesn't have to gas and lead here, does it, by any stretch? And Rock the Ring drawn inside it, I think, sort of brings it into the race, map wise. You think Shins could be a bit tactical here to find himself in the right spot.
Yeah.
As far as the prices are concerned, just looking at Dynamic here, $260 Rock the Ring, $4 available all banter. It just seems like they're going to be a lot closer come jump time to me.
Yeah.
What are you suggesting we do there?
Look, I'm happy to take something early on all banter. That's just the way that I'm looking at the race, though. I'm looking at the rest of the field. I'm not exactly sure who's going to be supported. Maybe a horse.
Can't see anything else firming.
No. I mean, look, I'm looking at horses like Larimer Street potentially that might be able to firm, but again, like that's really a bit of a stretch, and that's obviously at odds as well. It's just, it looks a very thin race outside of those top two, and that's obviously what the market has. But yeah, I'm looking at it just going, well, clearly there's one horse that's recorded better figures. Rock the Ring wasn't necessarily suited last start, 3 wide, no cover for the most part. I just don't see who's going to jump out of the ground and really strongly improve.
Yeah, I think all banner, well, on our data and with our pricing, that we could see it starting sub $3, and this could be like a $2.80 each or two sort of race. Because nothing else is, like you say, like I can't see anything that's like in the market now that's sort of like, even $10 to $12. It's got a map that suggests this thing could be backed into 7 or 8 late because it maps X and makes it a little bit better hope than what it current odds is. I just can't see that either.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a bit of fun. I'm sure we're going to learn a fair bit about Oakbank just by doing the form and watching it all unfold. And if we have a good day, girls, you never know. We might get involved there on Monday.
Why not? Like, I tell you what, the patrons will enjoy it because they won't have any of those pesky anti-jumps racing protesters there to spoil the party.
Do you reckon they'll turn up anyway?
I hope so. Look, I wouldn't put it past them.
Oh.
But they'll probably be there celebrating that they feel like that they've contributed to no jumps racing there this weekend.
Sad.
I don't really know.
All right, so that's a bit of Oakbank. It's a bit of sale, done and dusted.
There's a bet there for all banner. If anyone's saying, thinking about what are we backing, all banner looks the one that's over the odds.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of your previews coming along nicely.
Indeed. Subscribers get the race by race preview for Saturday at Eagle Farm, and we've got a sort of like a semblance of a race. We've got a listed race.
Okay.
I'm not going to preview the race, but I'm just sort of telling you that we've got and there's a Victorian horse in the race as well, and a Kiwi. The listed Daybreak Lover.
I was going to say they're going off early then, if they're already up in Queensland.
Well, you've got to give the locals a little bit of crack at black type in the fillies and mares races,
Oh, of course.
I don't think they anticipated the bloody ring-ins getting up here this early. Here we are. No, the racing is starting to, the quality of the horses that will start to improve on the Saturdays as we get closer to the big carnival. And, we're going to see some nice horses stepping out over the next few weeks. For those that are into the narrative of going to the races to watch nice horses, where I'll be at Gatton and those sort of joints.
Yeah, the nicer places to get more out of it.
Heaps going on over Easter, as we anticipated there would be. We're trying to cash in on I call these Keno races because there's just a race every 30 seconds and they're just horrible.
Yeah, just have to hold on for grim death. I'll be at Ascot with Good Friday and then Easter Saturday, so 18 races, Mounting Yard Mail. Looking forward to it. About halfway through the lot of them, and there's probably 1 or 2 races that I've got some sort of confidence over, which is good. But anyway,
will you be eating any steak burgers on Friday at the races?
I'll see what I can get.
I reckon they'll just have like fillet of fish or something like that.
The old fillet of fish.
It's like we're racing, but we're not going to eat red meat.
You got to cater for everyone these days, surely.
Well, that's right. We're a multicultural society.
What if Pete Evans turned up on course, only in his complete full paleo mode and only eats red meat, proper carnivore style? Like, what's he going to eat?
Well, he's not going to be going to the tofu stand, is he? That's right. We've got to cater for all. Anyway, we're not catering for anyone in Queensland. It's no racing tomorrow. So I'm relying on your good self and Jackson Oldham at Sale, hopefully.
Yep.
Because why wouldn't you drive to Sale on Good Friday when you live in Melbourne?
There's surely nothing else to do on Good Friday.
Exactly. Is there any footy?
Yeah, there's 2 games. North Melbourne's playing the Western Bulldogs, and I think West Coast is playing Sydney.
Oh, well. Another 2 unwatchable games.
Exactly. All right, girls, it's been good. We'll
Good
catch
luck,
up on, Monday, I guess, and deep dive.
Why not?
Sure.
Look forward to it.
Plenty to talk about. We'll be in touch then.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.